Welcome to your first lesson in the Introduction to the Dongxiao course. My name is Jake and I will be your instructor, and I am also the author of the newly released text, Introduction to the Dongxiao. This is right now available at Amazon, both in paperback print version as well as digital ebook format. There is a spiral bound version that is also available, and all the links are in the description below. So be sure to check that out and get yours today, because this is the comprehensive study guide that this entire tutorial series is going to follow. I wanted to have video lessons recorded just so you have another resource so you can listen to the songs and go over some of the finer details. So get yours today, links are in the description. With that, let's get started with our first lesson. For each lesson, we're going to be introducing a new song. So our first song actually starts on page 38 of the text and is titled Little Baby Going to Bed. So of course we're going to start off with nursery rhymes, children's songs, very simple, kind of catchy tunes, right? Kind of this folk music. But make sure you've already gone over all of the introductory information. You are comfortable with posture, you're finding some sound on the xiǎo, maybe you understand a little bit of the jianpu reading already. I also have video versions of that, so you can check out this playlist and you can walk through all of those details here as well. But make sure you've covered all that and you're starting to get a feeling for the xiǎo, doing some basic drills, some basic scales, things like that, okay? So for our first song, the really great thing about it is we're only going to use 3 pitches. We're only going to use our mi, our 3, 2, and 1, our mi, re, do, re, mi. Okay, we're only going to use these 3 pitches with the left hand, our ring finger and index finger opening and closing. So it's a very simple progression, and that way we can start off in the center of our flute. Right? We can start off with those middle range notes, very easy to find and very good for posture correction in the early stages. Okay, so remember when we place our xiǎo, the first thing we want to do is we want to place it on the chin, and you can hear even as I start talking, there's a little bit of sound coming through the flute, because as it rests on the chin, you should line up pretty much on that line. If you have the solid node or if you have the open node, your lip should be touching the bottom of that cutout or across that notch, okay? So it's really important to find that place and to not crowd it and get too close, because if you get too close, you're gonna overblow and you're not gonna have a very stable pitch, okay? So first thing, always finding that 45-degree angle, straight back, empty chest, and just relax, just relax and find that sound, okay? Now, we're going to start on our middle note. So I'm playing an F key, but you could be playing a G, which is more typical. You play any key of flute is fine for now, okay? And we're going to cover hole number 2, and we're going to cover everything on the top. So we're going to cover 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, if we're counting from the bottom, this is number 2 with the ring finger, and then once we get up here, we have 5, 6, 7, and 8 on the back. Okay, so we're using an 8-hole xiǎo. Okay, and this first note is do, so this is 1. Now as we go up, we're going to lift the ring finger for 2, or re, and we're going to lift the index finger for 3, or mi. And we're only going to use these 3 pitches, so this is all we need to do, okay? Now remember, when you do this, you only need to lift the finger slightly. It doesn't need to be any pressing. You don't want to curl your fingers. You want to keep things neutral and relaxed, and just softly lift up. And when you go to place back down, one smooth motion and cover. If you finish and you find you have rings on your fingers, like little circles and indentations, or maybe your wrist is sore, you're probably holding too tightly, okay? It's just like how we start driving cars, how we do anything. We tend to be really tense in the beginning, and once we get more familiar, we start to relax. So just remember that and kind of remind yourself as you practice to relax. We're covering the holes, we're not squeezing them. Okay, so that first line is very, very nice. Okay, we can even slow the tempo down, and we're going to play it like this. Okay, so just that first line, it's just an ascending, a breath, a descending, and then a little bit of a progression at the end. Okay, so very, very simple. The only thing here to pay attention to is our sustains. So when we have that dash, that means continue that last note until it stops. In this case, we're going to stop each phrase with a breath. So that V, that elevated V is your breath mark. Okay, and we want to have that pitch full all the way to that point. So for example, that first measure, don't do something like this. And kind of fade it out, okay? Because then you're going to drop pitch, it's going to get pretty flat. You want to keep it full all the way to the end. So imagine that dash being a full beat sustain, but don't change the pitch at all until we get to that breath. And what I like to think about is instead of stopping the music to take a breath, you take a breath and that's what stops the music, okay? So you see all the way to the end of that beat, we have right? And then we get a full sound all the way to the end of that measure. Okay, so that's going to be really important. So the first line, there's nothing really unique. It's just getting used to that fingering position, opening and closing, you know, doing two at once, coming back down, very simple. Now our second line is very similar. With the first two phrases, we just repeat. Okay, so it's only that last measure, those last two measures that are different, okay? And the only thing there is we're going to repeat re, or our two number, okay? Now, when numbers are repeated, we do need to re-articulate them. We need to have a distinction between one pitch and the next pitch. In this case, because there's no sustain, it is another number, we want to actually re-articulate. And the way we will do that in this case is we're going to just quickly lift and replace the number two finger. Okay, so our index finger in this case. Okay, there's other variations of this that we will do in the future, but for now I want you to keep it really simple. And this will be a smaller movement. Okay, we're not going to want to lift all the way off and to where we get that number three, that mi pitch. We don't want that to come through too clearly. We just want a little bit of a flutter, a little lift and close, so you can hear that re, that number two, starting over. Okay, so again, those last two measures of the song, we have right. So we have do, mi, re, do, sustained to the end. And that's going to be the whole song. Very, very simple, but the key here is having pure pitch, keeping very stable, being able to start in different places, and kind of make sure that first note comes through clear. Okay, if you have to start this very, very slow and slowly build up speed, that's fine, because we really want each note to come through clear. Okay, so that is Little Baby Going to Bed. I hope that lullaby doesn't put you to sleep, but wakes you up for all the lessons to come. Get your copy of the Introduction to the Dongxiao, now on sale at Amazon.